Retsin. I'm the director of Gilles Retsin Architecture, an architecture practice based in London, where I also teach at the Bartlett School of Architecture. And I'm extremely pleased to be able to show my work here at the Seoul Biennale of Architecture and Urbanism. I was particularly interested in the idea of looking at things in a more intersectional way, that it's really at this kind of crossroad, that there's not a single topic of focus, but that it's really about where different topics kind of interconnect and overlap. And I would say that's also present in the work that I did for the Biennale, which is on the one hand making a kind of a claim for housing and the importance of, again, looking at housing and also touching on aspects of affordable housing. So when I was working on the installation, I did a lot of reading about the situation with housing in Seoul. Seoul is actually one of the cities with the sharpest increase in housing prices in the whole world. There's really a kind of a very present housing crisis. So for me, coming from London, where there's also where we are also confronted with a housing crisis, for me, there was a very interesting connection between the two cities. And I felt kind of comfortable in that brief to try to propose something that could make people imagine, think, or dream about possibilities to deliver housing in alternative ways, that we don't have to necessarily be stuck in the kind of current mode of production, in the idea of kind of developer-led housing and this crisis itself, but that we could begin to think about how digital technologies could help us disrupt the delivery of housing and could maybe result in a very different way of building and creating and procuring housing. So that's something that I hope maybe stuck with visitors and the inhabitants in Seoul, that it left a kind of desire to think and dream about other ways that we could produce housing. The installation in Seoul, I think, was really crucial in that body of work. It's the first time that I'm displaying kind of a proper housing model rather than maybe a more abstract chunk or more abstract installation. Like it really wants to be understood and read as housing. So for me, that was extremely important. Another aspect that was important for me was the collaboration with local timber contractors and timber manufacturers. I had a chance to work with a fantastic company called YC Sawmill, and I would hope that we can keep working together and perhaps build some larger models or be able to generate enough interest to push some of these ideas into the market and test them out on a real scale. So I think the message of the work is that we should dare to think provocatively about housing on one hand, and that we should also dare to ask more from digital technologies. We should not just think about digital technologies, something that is merely about the kind of creation of complex form, but we should understand that they have severe and deep social and economical agency and potential and consequences. I think my installation tries to bring together those questions and tries to push visitors to the Seoul Biennale to understand that automation can change the way that we construct housing. It can change it radically. And that it is a project that, on the one hand, can enable us to do things, more efficiently or establish a kind of a more efficient way of thinking about the logistics of production, but that doesn't oppose an architectural project. And I think that is a very important message, that all the while we are developing those new technologies, experimenting with timber, experimenting with new structural systems, that we cannot forget about architecture, that it's very important to work on the level of architecture itself as well, and that they go hand in hand and cannot be separated.